right, well, we're so excited to be kicking off NRF Day One with you. I'm Evelyn McMullen. I'm a research manager at Nucleus Research. We're an independent analyst firm that focuses on return on investment analysis. So a lot of my day-to-day is talking to organizations, a lot of which are in retail, about how they're solving problems with technology. And I am thrilled to be joined here with Tom Herman, who's the Chief Strategy Officer at Northgate Markets. And we're going to be talking about unifying retail operations, the concept of one store, one forecast, and how we can make that a reality. So with that, I want to turn it over to the real star of the show here, Tom. Can you tell us a little bit about your role at Northgate and then a little bit about Northgate itself and some of its unique complexities?
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. It looks like it's kind of a small group, so we can do like a little town hall here. So if you have any questions as we go or at the end, please shout them out. So I've been with Northgate 15 years. I started out in, we just opened a brand new distribution center when I went there, and I started out in merchandising and distribution. And then about 5 years into my tenure at Northgate, you know how merchandising and operations, I don't know if you guys are in the retail food business, but you fight like cats and dogs. So one of the owners, and I'll tell you a little bit about the company, but one of the owners ran operations and we fought like cats and dogs. So the rest of the owners thought we should work together more. So I moved over to operations and I was in operations for 5 years. And that's when we started our journey in workforce management with Logile. And then in the last 5 years, I've been heading up strategy, and we've really done a lot of cool stuff in strategy. We started a new concept in Costa Mesa. It's a really cool mercado. We have 20 kitchens. We have a lot of restaurants. We have a lot of different things. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about the complexity of that. A little bit about Northgate Markets. It's a family business, started in 1980. 13 brothers and sisters. They're all Mexican immigrants. Their father and the oldest brother started the company. One little store. And a little cute story, the reason it's called Northgate Markets is because that was the name of the little store when they bought it, and they didn't have any money to change the sign. And when they started to become successful, they didn't want to change the name, so it's Northgate Markets. So today we have 48 stores, all in Southern California. We also have a full-line distribution center. We're self-distributing. We also have a commissary, a 100,000 square foot commissary where we have like 18 different production lines, which adds another level of complexity. And that commissary serves our retail stores. We just serve ourselves out of the commissary. We do some finished goods, but most of them are pre-production where we produce or pre-produce the product, send it to the stores, and it's finished at the store, so it's super fresh. So that's a little bit about myself and Northgate.
Fantastic. Now I want to set the stage a little bit more and ask you what kind of operational challenges specifically you were facing that kind of led you to realize it was time to unify workforce planning and forecasting, and what kind of steps you've taken so far or plan to take.
Right. You know, a couple things to kind of set the stage is California is a very complicated state to do business in. So you know, there's a lot of regulations, whether it's labor or even on the food safety side. So it's really important to make sure you have all your ducks in a row in California. The second thing is it's a really complex environment that we're in. Like I said, we have a lot of different kitchens. So just to kind of give you an idea, 40% of our sales is out of what we call fresh prepared. Those are items that we produce at the store. So that's not like meat or produce or grocery. These are items that we produce at the store. So we have a scratch bakery. We do tortilla from scratch. To give you an idea, we have silos. We pump the corn in. We cook the corn. We grind it on a pumice stone like the old-fashioned way, and we make fresh hot tortillas basically every hour. So we have both yellow corn and flour tortillas. So it's a high production environment. So that's a very complex environment. And like I said earlier, we have a commissary. So that's another situation where we really need to, everything is driven by, you know, when the customers obviously purchase a product. But if you back up from that, there's all these different stages of production. Whether it's the production at the store or it's a production pre-hand at the commissary. In each one of those, whether it's raw goods going into the commissary, raw goods going directly into the store, or pre-production product coming from the commissary to the store, it's really important that you have your production planning really solid, and with labor or production planning or anything, a unified forecast is pretty much the most important thing. The success of your programs really relies on that unified forecast. And at least in the grocery business, I don't know if everybody here is grocery retailers, there's a lot of different products that you have, whether it's a product to replenish a commissary or run a commissary, product to replenish a distribution center, product to replenish the stores, or a production planning module, or a labor module. All these different modules generally have their own engine, to do forecasting. Some of them are good, not great, and other ones are not that good. But they're all different. They all come up with different answers. And I had this dream, and it's been over a 10-year dream actually, to have one unified forecast where we have one version of the truth. But more importantly, I think it's when you have all these different modules and you have all these people touching different systems, you have different people trying to perfect a forecast. And you have multiple people in finance on the budgeting side. You have multiple people trying to forecast your business. And so you have multiple people trying to optimize an individual product. And with a unified forecast, you have one set of people working on the same forecast. Because the forecast is only as good as, obviously, the information that goes into it. And there's a lot of events that happen, whether it's weather events, in California, it could be riots, could be any kind of event that could impact your business. That if you don't have the same people and a lot of good people working on the same forecast, you're going to get different results out of different systems.
Yeah. And seeing as your dream is kind of in the making, not yet realized, what kind of changes do you expect once you're able to unify that forecasting? Are there any specific metrics that you're going to be tracking?
Yeah. The supermarket is I don't want to say it's an outdated model, but it's a model that's definitely in transition. We're basically moving away, at least at where I'm at, is we're moving away from a supermarket model to more of a restaurant model. So just kind of briefly, and maybe I'll pick on the grocery industry a little bit, so if there's groceries here, I apologize. But generally speaking, in a supermarket environment, especially high-volume supermarket environments like ourselves, is you produce a lot of product, you produce it in abundance, you put it in a display case, whether it's a hot case or a cold case, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you watch it get old, right? And the longer product is in any case, the lower the quality gets it shrinks, right? If it's hot foods, it evaporates, it gets dry, it shrinks. It's not at the peak of freshness a lot of times when the customer buys it, because what happens is you produce way ahead of time during a really slow time that's like between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. And a lot of that product has to last past noon, or even some retail environments that last all day. But the quality of that product degrades very significantly, and it reduces your profitability. In the restaurant environment, most things are made to order, right? Even fast food, they don't make it way ahead of time. They have pretty good forecasting tools where they try to, for example, at a Chick-fil-A, a Chick-fil-A sandwich can only be like 18 minutes since the time they cook it, or otherwise they throw it out. So a QSR or a restaurant environment is you make food made to order, and that's what we're moving to. So we're moving away from a supermarket model to a made to order model. And like I said, if you have pre-production, you're bringing in product to your commissary, you have pre-production there, it goes into your stores, and then you're making the product just in time. You have to have the right batches, you have to do them at the right time, because you're really forecasting needs of the customer, and you're trying to give them product at the optimum freshness, right? And for two reasons. One is to grow your sales, but the other reason is to make more money, right? So it's a very complex environment, so you really need to have great tools. You really need to have the labor there at the right time to produce that product or to serve the customer. And doing that all in one symphony is really hard to do. And it's much more difficult if you don't have one unified system and one unified forecast.
So important that fresh is done right, and I really appreciate that answer. I'd like to shift it to the people a little bit, having those people in the right place at the right time, but also looking at change management, which is always quite a challenge when it comes to technology implementations. And with the re-architecting that you're doing, do you foresee any challenges there? Is there any work that you've done already to kind of ease your employees into that transition?
Yeah, actually a long journey that we started with a lot of workforce management tools. We started with 5S first, and then Beth's methods, and then workforce management tools. And each one of those came with its own change management. And our solution is to really involve the people. The supermarket industry is unique in a way that's a little bit different than the restaurant business too. It's a fairly unskilled workforce. It's a lot of younger people that are just getting into a career. It could be just a stopping point for somebody in high school or somebody in college. So they're fairly unskilled. So to have that kind of precision, so it's really predictable for the associates. They know what they need to do, when they need to do it. You can train them on the specific things that they have to do in that environment. Especially in our stores, it's a very high volume environment. So you have a lot of customers. That adds a lot of pressure. And if you don't know what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, it's a very stressful environment. And if you think about turnover, it's really usually caused by that level of stress and anxiety and not knowing how to do things. So it's really important that you do all that change management, that you have clear times when people do stuff and they know exactly from A to Z how to do it. When they do that and they can do it well, they also are able to provide much better service. So it works really well. So when we've done other modules with Logile, the change management is really important. We say we go slow at first so we can go faster later. So we really take our time to build that skill set and that repetition with our associates.
Fantastic. And I want to know, I'm sure there are other grocers in the audience. If you were to give one piece of advice to anyone that's about to embark on a similar journey, seeing all the planning that you've done so far to unify that forecast, what would it be? It could be more than one piece of advice.
It could be more than one, sure. I guess a couple keys to it is, one, it really has to be a total company commitment. Because just speaking for ourselves, whether it's the cold chain or the supply chain itself, from A to Z, you have to make sure that everything works in harmony. So you need support from your senior leadership team, obviously, from the president all the way down. But it's all the way down to the logistics. It's down to the receivers at the stores. It's a really big ecosystem. And I think if people understand the whole ecosystem they're dealing with and what part they play in that ecosystem, that really helps them understand the importance of what they do and why we do what we do. For example, here's kind of the transition we've made is, most retail food companies, and I'll just pick on Walmart, hopefully they're not in the room, but most retail food companies are logistics companies and IT companies, right? And their big commitment is moving product from point A to point B, the customer, in the most efficient way. But most people have kind of lost a passion for food. There's not people usually in big supermarket operators that say, hey, how can I create the best croissant, the most incredible piece of bread you've ever put in your mouth, right? And that's really called a passion for food, right? So if you create that passion for food amongst your people and they see, hey, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to create the best product that when the customer consumes that product, they have like an out-of-body experience, right? It's really about the food, right? And if you can create that and people understand your mission and say, hey, our job is to create the best food we can create, right? And we're all here working together, 10,000 associates working together. We each might have different roles in the company or even in the store itself, but we're here to make sure that the customer has the best experience. If you can have that unified vision and everybody's behind it, and then when you have tools that can help them create better food and give better service and create a better experience for the customer, and they see how that works, the adoption is much higher. They see, what we call it is people have to have a purpose, right? And so we see if they have this purpose, they understand where they fit in. They love to, do things really well. So they'll adopt technology or processes or anything much quicker.
Yeah. Now, from my perspective, I think adoption is so important because the ROI of an unadopted solution is always going to be negative. But speaking of passion for food, I did want to take a quick tamale detour because you had told me recently how many tamales you had sold in December, and I was absolutely stunned. But can you tell us a little bit more about how the commissary works in that sense?
Do you remember the number? I think it was
1.5, just over 1.5 million.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, how we do tamales? They're all handmade tamales. We do them in our commissary, but it's a pre-production step. They still need to be thermalized at the store. So we have 2 different lines. We make all kinds of different tamales. We make 8 different kinds, but basically the product comes in and we cook all the different proteins. We have a tortilla factory there, and we cook the corn and we make the masa. And it's kind of complicated, but masa is different depending on what you're using it for. If you're making a corn tortilla, it's a different masa than if you're making tamales. But yeah, we go through the whole thing. You have to really know what your production is, know when the customer needs to buy them. But we can make up to 65,000 tamales a day. So at peak time, we have to be at that kind of level. And then how that goes through the stores is the same kind of thing. Is we make tamales every day. We don't make the same flavors every day, but at least every other day we're making that same flavor. We send it through directly from the commissaries directly to the store. So what was produced today is in the stores tomorrow. And then the stores have a production schedule as well, because we don't want them to thermalize those too soon. So we have a system that they're basically thermalizing the tamales right before the customers need them. And it's a very complicated thing because we don't carry tamales over from one day to the next. So you got to make sure that you have a high level of precision. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of shrink.
This is true. So Tom, thank you for taking us down that detour. I wanted to talk about it. I think it's so fascinating. But seeing all that you're planning for 2026, I'm sure you have a lot on your plate, but where do you see Northgate continuing to innovate next? I mean, I'm transfixed by the fact that you're shifting to more of a restaurant model instead of a retail model. Just maybe anything you can speak to on that front. Yeah,
we call it AMFE. It's an authentic Mexican food experience. And when we say that, we really do focus on the experience. And then we believe that if we create the right atmosphere and the right experience for the customer, they're going to buy a lot of product. And fresh foods, obviously, is a big part of it. So how we're moving today is, like I said, we're moving away from the supermarket model. Our new store that we built in Costa Mesa and all the other stores that we have on the horizon, we have multiple kitchens. Each one of them has their own food type. So we have, in a sense, almost 20 different restaurants inside of the market. It doesn't feel like a supermarket. Actually, it's that's not the experience we tried to create. We tried to create more of a mercado feel where people come in. They can go to the birria and buy a quesadilla. They can go to the asados. We have a huge mesquite grill there. They can get basically all their grilled meats. We have a tortilleria. We have a carnitas Don Miguel. So it's a lot of dine in and takeout. So the supermarket model is all basically getting the food hot. By the time they get home, it's cold. They have to reheat it or whatever, or they buy it cold and they have to heat it up. Is over 50% of our sales is on-prem sales. So we have a big in-store dining area, a dining hall. We have a huge outdoor patio, and we have different dining areas throughout the store. So they can come in and they can do lunch. Lunch is capacity. We can seat over 600 people in the store. So you can be at capacity at lunch. We're not quite at capacity at dinner. We're still working on that. But the weekends we're at total capacity. And now we're moving to more where people can come in and they can take food home. So more meals and meal components and things like that. So we're really moving into the restaurant kind of field. So it's really important that we're not restaurateurs. We're learning a lot as we go, and I think a lot of these tools are going to help us perfect it.
Absolutely. I know we have a little bit of time left, but I do want to ask you, Tom, what are you most excited about at NRF today?
Boy, at NRF today, I have a couple meetings. Kind of what we're trying to do, just like with this unified forecast, is all the technology that is used in a supermarket is different from the technology that's used in a restaurant, right? So the POS system in a restaurant is much different than a POS system in a supermarket. So we're trying to unify everything together. So that's kind of my mission today, is to work on and see if we can get all these systems really unified. We have cash recyclers, so our people don't have to touch cash, but it's not fully integrated with all the systems. We have different digital menu boards that aren't fully integrated, so there's a lot of things we need to do. But I think this is the new way of people consuming food and buying food. So we're a little bit ahead of the curve, and we just need to have people help get caught up a little bit.
Yeah. And you had mentioned at one point in one of our previous conversations the idea of kind of looking at an implementation 2 years out. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, even with this unified forecast, we're also doing actually a re-implementation of fresh item management. We've chose Logile to help us with that. So yeah, that is a 2-year journey for us. We have a lot of the foundation there because we have a different product, but we have to add components, like I said, commissary components. We have to do pre-production components. A little bit of complicated thing is sometimes, like a carnitas is a good example. We cut the meat and we tumble the meat in the commissary. It gets to the stores, and the stores fry the pork into carnitas, but that carnita is also used in different recipes in different puestos. So when you do that production, you have to see it all the way through. So some of the carnitas are sold retail directly to the customer. Some are sold in that puesto as part of a meal inside of that puesto, but different puestos might do tacos, so they need carnitas for their tacos, or they do other things that need that as an ingredient. So we have to make sure that they get their cooked product when they need it and things like that. So it's a very complicated environment. So it's an 18. We've been working on all of the blueprinting and stuff, and then implementation's another 18 months.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Well, like I said, we do have a little bit of time left if we have any questions from the audience. I know we didn't get to do our little town hall model, but happy to answer. Oh.
In terms of store ordering and procurement, are you using that forecast to inform CAO or CGO for those component items or other raw materials? Is that your commissary in terms of order forecasting?
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. So, and we're starting with fresh foods first. Like I said earlier, what we need to do is today we're doing more of, we produce the product, it goes into our DCs, then the stores pull the product, right? We're moving to a different model where we're doing store ordering, and then it goes from there back to the production, and it goes directly to the store. So it'll come into our distribution center and be cross-docked directly to stores. So we started that already with cut fruit. We have another commissary that does cut fruit and veg, and we started that already where the product is going directly to the stores. The stores aren't ordering the product. And it's been really successful. We've reduced our out of stocks. Our freshness obviously is much better because we have the product when we're supposed to have the product. It's funny, the two most important things the stores are supposed to do is write a schedule and order product. And it's the two things they rush the most. It just drives you crazy, but that's just store DNA, and you can't change store DNA. So we're doing it in a different way where it's going to go all the way through to the store. Even today, we don't know when our replenishment buyers replenish a DC, they don't know what the on hand is at the store. So we are changing all of that. So we have one, like I said, we know what we have at our stores, we know what we have at our commissary, we know what we have at our DC, and it's all an integrated solution. Good question. You're the star of the show so far.
Anyone else?
One at a time, okay?
Yeah.
Don't talk over each other,
Right.
please. Any other questions? Anything you've always wanted to ask a grocer but was always afraid to ask? Yes, sir. Yes, we have dreams beyond California. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. It's a really cool concept. Here's what's really cool about it is our stores, a lot of our stores were initially built in predominantly Hispanic neighborhoods. So we call that the core customer. We have 3 customers. Core, we have this bicultural, which are fully acculturated Hispanics. Then we have non-Hispanic food explorers, right? And in our other stores, anywhere from 90, well, let's say from 50, no, more than 50. Let's say 70 to 90% of our customers are core customers. These are Spanish-speaking, let's say first or second generation immigrants. In our Mercado and our new stores, our Mercado, less than half our customers are Hispanic. And our core is only about a third of our customers. So over 50% of our customers in that location are non-Hispanic. Asians are big, they love Mexican food. Over 15% of our customers are of Asian descent. But we have a very diverse customer base. So we know that's the right formula. Everybody loves Mexican food. Everybody loves, we have live music. We have a liquor license in bars that you can travel throughout the Mercado with an alcoholic beverage. So it's a really fun place to go. And so when I said we're creating this authentic Mexican food experience, we're really focused on the experience. And food plays a major part in that, obviously. But focusing on that experience is the most important thing we do.
I have to get out to the Mercado.
Yeah, it's a really fun place. People say it's more fun than Disneyland. So we have actually a lot of customers that come to California, and it's on their itinerary to go to the Mercado. It's crazy there. It's crazy fun, dancing and singing and everything. Any other question?
One more, probably.
No?
Anyone?
There was no question you'd like to ask a grocer that you've always wanted to know or anything? Any secrets you want to hear about? Or all right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Evelyn.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Tom.